I couldn't make this video on TikTok because I received a strike for it. And the last time I received a strike, I'm on my second strike on TikTok. So the last time that I received a strike, it was because I shared an article. Now, if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I am currently in the beginning stages of my astrology journey. And the reason for that is because I've been reading about astrologers for the last 15 years now, through a historical lens, through history, alternative history, and I'll get into one specific book, or two I should say, that touch up on that. I'll also, towards the end, share the books that I'm reading about on astrology and what's kind of getting me into it in terms of astrology as a discipline. So this isn't going to be a woo-woo video or anything. Actually, most of these books are either biographies or history, really. And then I have two astrology books that I'm going to cover, which is already up on my TikTok. This is what got me in trouble. This is called Babylon's Banksters. It's written by Joseph P. Farrell. He also wrote a trilogy called The Giza Death Star, and I believe a fourth book where he revisits it. These are all essays. He's a historian. He has a PhD. He talks a lot about alternative history, but this is kind of what piqued my interest in astrology. It was just like the cherry on top. If you're into science like physics or what he calls paleophysics, like you'd really like this book. I'm like, as the Zoomers call it, genuinely kind of dumb. The stuff he talks about on here that I just don't understand, but I get the gist of what he's saying. So the message of this book, he's pretty much saying like, hey, you know, there's these global banksters all over the world, and their DNA actually traces back to ancient times, and these lineages are still in control today. For entertainment purposes only, allegedly. The conspiracy of the point is that these bankers, they want to kind of control the progress of physics and deep physics. They want to do that so that they can continue to control the world. Pretty much. That's an effort to keep us poor and have us placed in these tiers within society. So yeah, really great book. I highly recommend it. So this is a biography on Benjamin Franklin's life, and this got me in really big trouble too on TikTok. I think this was like the nail in the coffin for me. I believe it was published in 1928, if I'm not mistaken. The author of this book, I believe he was French. He was like obsessed with Benjamin Franklin and also obsessed with putting an end to all Freemasons. And he wrote a biography about Benjamin Franklin and how Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason, allegedly, for entertainment purposes, according to this book. It's interesting. It's old and it's hanging on by its dear life, but it still contains that perspective, I guess. Okay, next up is another biography. I've actually had this book for about, I want to say 10 years now, and I'm just revisiting it now. And this is about Aleister Crowley. The guy who wrote this book has written biographies on astrologers in the past, or people that have dabbled in astrology. But the way I see it is Aleister Crowley was the Epstein before Epstein. And, he had his own little villa out in Italy, and he was doing some wicked shit over there. He had a hard time with the press as well because he was scandalous. People testified against him. So anyway, I just thought I'd brush up on his life because it's interesting. I don't worship Aleister Crowley at all. So we're going to move on to astrology. And the reason for that is because I have to pull this up. He mentions the company, the American company RCA, did a study, and this is according to Time magazine. Back in 1951, they released the article saying that RCA conducted a study where they actually used astrology by way to predict certain cycles up in space. I'll just read it straight from the book. So I quote on page 114, the Time article states, "A new approach to an as yet unsolved problem in the observance of planetary effects on transatlantic shortwave signals, correlation over 7 years shows that certain planetary arrangements agree well with the behavior of shortwave signals. So this was like a discovery within RCA's study on shortwave signal quality. And anyway, it's just a snippet. It's really interesting. He gets way deeper into it. I'll just quote the book again. It's in part 4. The name of the chapter is Temples, Templates, and Trusts, the Ancient Roots of a Deep Relationship. Interested in getting that perspective of how the ancients approached astrology and how they used it. I'm just gonna let him talk you through that. That got me into astrology as a whole. And you know, I think like I put it off for so long because I just always read it as woo-woo. So I figured, hey, let's have some fun and decipher my birth chart. I've been taking notes. And people on Reddit did recommend me Hellenistic Astrology by Chris Brennan, if I'm not mistaken. The thing is that I feel like I'd only understand half the book as a beginner. So I feared that maybe that book was a bit too advanced for my liking, at least where I'm at right now with it. But he also recommended this book called Using the Wisdom of the Stars in Your Everyday Life. It's by Carole Taylor, if I'm not mistaken. This is great for beginners. So if you want to get down the terminology of all the zodiacs, the placements, the transits, all that, and it's color coded, as I mentioned on TikTok. And it reads like, this book explains astrology as if you're 5. And this is exactly what I wanted. Because when I read about transits and certain aspects, I have no idea what the fuck's going on with any of that stuff. So this is really helpful. And even if you're a bit advanced or further along the way with astrology, this is a great book to just have as like a glossary to refer back to every now and then. Because it's a lot of information and it's okay to not know everything. But once I'm done with that, I am going to get into Robert Hand's Planets in Transit. So, I don't know if you could see, there we go. This is hefty, and it goes over every single planet. This book states that it covers all major transits, conjunction, sextile, square, trine, and opposition that occur between transiting sun, moon, and all planets to each planet in the natal chart, and the ascendant and midheaven, as well as a complete guide of each planet transiting each house of the natal chart. And it goes on and on and on. Yeah, this is gonna be... I'm looking forward to this. This is my current list of books that I've been reading for the past 2 months, I want to say. It started back in February, and now we're approaching April. I'm not finished with 2 of them, but that's where I'm at. So I just wanted to make a longer form video on this because, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I can't really talk about any of this on TikTok. Yeah, I'll probably drop a video on YouTube once a month discussing the books that I'm currently reading, or maybe discuss certain topics that I can't really get too deep into on TikTok because the censorship is getting really bad on there. I mean, it was always bad, but it's really, it's like, how could you even exist on there? I'm also not like the smartest person out there. I'm aware of this. I like hearing other people's insights, and sometimes it broadens my perspective on a topic, or maybe someone can point something out to me that I may have missed or didn't catch because, again, I'm slow and so sometimes I get things, sometimes I don't. But I've noticed a lot of my friends don't read the type of books that I'm into. So I figured, why not share it on the internet and maybe start some discussions, get them going so that we can all just talk.